In a few minutes' time, we're going to be talking solutions. We want to hear recommendations of trying to deal with some of these issues that are cropping up fairly regularly. Go right ahead, please.
Just one quick comment. I represent Catholic Commission for Social Justice, but I also sit on the board of a children's home. And one of the challenges we have, again, is how the court views fathers and fatherhood, if we're looking at fatherhood in society. And most of the times when the children come to us, the courts make an extreme 200% effort to place the girls. They make no effort with the boys and send them to the homes. Number two, for Mother's Day, we had no shortage of people coming to mentor children at the home. We can't even find a father willing to come and mentor the boys. So where are we going with our boys? How are we shaping them? What are we creating in them? School teachers are girls. All the workers in the homes are women. Principals are women. Everywhere you go, it's women. So you have a whole bunch of women nurturing tigers, lions, but giving them not the tiger or the lion instinct. And I don't know if, as we look at role reversals and professions, how do we once again bring back the professions to where there were male mentors to do that cult and that orientation for boys going up into manhood? Because we are not seeing it at the homes. And if I speak for one, I speak for all, that all the homes have the same problem. There are no men to mentor. There are no roles to be mentored for the men.
Thank you very much for your observation. If you could just relay the microphone to the lady at the back to continue. Go right ahead, please.
Laura Davis, social worker. Part of the solution is for you to advocate for deadbeat dad to take their responsibility, because that would now mean they would be in the minority and you would be in the majority. Because if it is that the court is faced with maintenance and it's by women, then it means that stands. So when men take the responsibility, then we would see a change in terms of how the court deal with dads. And we hope that that would happen.
Thank you very much. So already a solution is being recommended. The gentleman in front here has had his hand up for some time, and he's been waiting patiently. And another gentleman very shortly. Go ahead, please.
I went through the court system where it had a situation in my home where my wife had attacked me because of a phone call. And in that attack, I was ill that day, and I was restraining the whole conversation until she took a baton and started to use it viciously. And then I decided that I'm going to resist because I ain't taking no licks from the woman. But that was my downfall. I should have taken the licks because eventually her mother advised her to call the police and all these different things. And I was put in the judicial system where I was actually brought to court. So I thought, given the situation that I was not well and given that I could defend myself, I said, look, I could go to the court and talk the situation out and let the judge know what is my situation, that this woman attacked me with a baton. You know, funny, she get hit. Well, I couldn't be faulted for that because she was attacking me with this baton. But that was the biggest mistake I made. The biggest mistake was that the court then decided that I should be restrained from the house. I said, well, I was attacked. He said, no. So I was restrained from the house, and I built 2 houses for my family. And the one that I was restrained from the house, which is marital home, and then restrained from the other house too. So I was like, well, where am I going to stay? Because, you know, I need a place to stay, you know. That's why I built 2 houses, you know. And eventually I came to the understanding that, no, I'm in charge here. When I thought I could have made my defense, the judge was like yawning, you know, I am not even taking on what you're saying. And I recognize from that perspective that men has literally, absolutely lost their voices. And even though we might be here to bring about try to get the solutions as to when this thing had taken place, because I only knew about it then. It took me 3 years not being able to see my home. to be barred from my both homes. Also, not being to pay maintenance. Every day, if I miss anything, my wife would call me and tell me she took out a warrant for me, and etc. And I had to rush and pay the money and so forth. And I recognized there was no support system for me, and I mentioned several times to Dr. Moultrie, which is the person I used to speak to in this regard, that men has lost their voices, and the system, the court system, is against us having a voice. Funny enough, we have not discussed also, I respect the panel there, of what are the causes of why it is we have this problem between men and women. I think that has not been addressed. Right. And what is my way of telling you this is that there's always a third party. There's a reason why men and women don't get along. Sometimes it's because of an outside affair, a third party. And we need to discuss that, and this court is totally silent on that.
Thanks very much for your contribution. The gentleman in front.
Countries like Belgium, Australia have adopted something called co-parenting, shared parenting, or equal parenting, which is mandated upon the judge. She no longer has the leeway to put the child in the ownership of one party. Both parties must come to the court with an agreement, with the one exception if the person has some criminal deviance prior to the case. So therefore, you must share responsibility, and the child gets access, equal access to both children. Maintenance now comes null and void because nobody has to pay maintenance to anybody because both of them have equal access. Right now, I pay ransom for my child, and I'm not even divorced because I just do it because I don't want to go to court. I am in fear. The old days, women used to fear leaving a marriage because of the independence. They were afraid. Now men are afraid of leaving a marriage because they can lose their children and their property. In marriage, fear has no place, just love.
Dexter Mario, thanks very much for your contribution. We now return to the head table. Again, we want to remind everyone of the theme of this afternoon's discussion: fatherhood in society, issues and solutions. We've touched on a number of issues. We've opened up some wounds. We've dealt with some significant points that are very, very relevant to many of the people gathered here. But we want to hear from our four members of the head table, some of their own ideas, recommendations, solutions that could move the process forward, beginning with Dr. Moultrie.
Okay, thank you so much. There's absolutely no way I can sit here and tell you all the things that I think are necessary for solutions, so I have to kind of squeeze it down. One of the things I say is that impairment with fathers has been going on for some families, generations and generations. Some families you don't even see fathers in there for so many generations past. So that is a part of our psyche. And in order to, when you have an impaired psyche, if I have a disease on my hand, and I just hugged Dr. Moore, I hugged Fazir, I hugged Dr. Margaret Sampson Brown, I hugged, Rondell Fields, because I feel love and I want to just hug everybody, but I'm spreading my disease. That is what happens when we have that psyche and we become teachers, we become magistrates, we become lawyers, we become doctors, we become police officers, we become mothers and fathers. Without healing that aspect of our life, we are spreading the disease. We're spreading it. And in order to make a change in society, it's no longer superficial to this one, this one, this one. Those who put themselves in the place of helping others or having an influence upon the lives of others should be in a system, lifetime system, not just a quick thing, which don't work, a lifetime system of working on those deeply false, wrong beliefs about men and women that we have in our head. I spent my life doing that. I have a book, sorry about that. I have a book and an audio series called Fatherhood, the book, The Power and Influence of the Parent-Child Relationship, that is designed to help heal that relationship. But first, we as people must say, I need help. That's right. First of all, I believe Dr. Rajae is saying, Mr. Rajae is saying here that a lot of things should not go into the court system. I don't believe that a lot of these family dynamics things are for the system of bad criminals. Because what you see as a judge, you see this one bad criminal, then you see this man, father, family, and your psyche is, they all the same. And you're going down the same route. And they're two different things.
30 seconds again.
30 seconds again. That we, what can I say in 30 seconds? We need to address lies and vindictiveness in the court. Those are so serious. We cannot say we can take them out because they're not part of the legal matter of things. You're not solving anything if you don't get lies. Children who are influenced by parents who lie, terrible effect on the psyche.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moultrie. Dr. Moore?
All right. Taking the court system first, I think there needs to be pressure for a change in the system in the court. If you're going to be dealing with child custody in the court at all, I think there needs to be pressure to put in the system as standard that there be an evaluation of the situation by somebody who specializes in working with children. I know that the court personnel often do it, but I don't know how many of the social workers and probation officers there specialize in working with children and have that training. And the reason I'm saying it is I do a lot of custody evaluations. I think it should be standard in the court. It's not always standard. All right? And then there should also be a standardized format for a custody evaluation where you talk to certain people. You're not just talking to the parents and to the child, as Dr. Moultrie said, you're talking to people around them as well. You're talking to the whole family system, etc., etc. So I think that should be part of the court system, automatic. The other thing I would want to say is that the Single Fathers Association, it's fathers who have a passion about being fathers. And we know that there are men out there who don't have that passion. And I think that it's really important for men who do have it to find some way to reach out to the men who don't, to mentor them in some way. For each member to find a friend who's not passionate about being a father and try to make him a convert. Because we really need more fathers, many more fathers involved in their children's lives. Whether they're not involved by choice or by force, we need them involved. And I think it's important for the ones who don't see that importance to be brought to see it. And I think they're best brought to see it by their fellow men and their fellow fathers. Because you can't legislate that in court of law.
Dr. Karen Moore, Margaret Sampson Brown.
Okay, I just want to touch briefly on my brother. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing, and the emotions is okay. Sometimes we say men don't cry, men shouldn't cry. But this association needs men to cry. Because when you cry and snot come out your nose, you understand how women feel. But the whole issue of, when Mr. Roger spoke about the whole situation of somewhere salaries should be deducted, there is a system in place called the attach of earnings. If your spouse brings you up before the court, you could tell the magistrate that there's a document that you sign in the court where you take to your employer, and on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, the employer would send that money to the court. They call it an attach of earnings. Now, it's a voluntary thing. Some of the men say, yes, I am willing to do that because I do not want to have to come to the court every week to pay for it, and some do not do it. So there is a system in place, and perhaps this association should look at whatever system exists. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Whatever system exists in respect of payments and whatever, they need to know it so that they can share it with their comrades. And when I looked at my friend, he said that he has to collect the child at the police station. Well, there is a reason for that. Sometimes you need to hear both sides of the story before you make a decision. Because there are times when women do not want the male to come to their home, because when they come to the home, there are so many situations that occur between both parties. So they prefer a neutral ground where they can collect the child. And perhaps we need to, and when we go to court to deal with children, we need to put ourselves aside and look at the children. What is best? It's all well and good when we could sit here and say, I want the best for my child. But let us take off these goggles that we are wearing and put the same person in a court situation with a magistrate and him and his wife, you would hear the kind of anger that comes out of it. And we need to stop that. And because the children are absent when they make the decision, but are present when the decisions are not carried out. We looked at the whole decision. My friend spoke about just this one time when his wife, you were sick and your wife hit you and whatever. That's one time. But I am saying that in a domestic violence situation, for her to apply for a protection order, it cannot happen one time. A magistrate cannot give a protection order to someone with one situation of violence.
Well, it's happening.
Okay, well, you obviously,
It has happened? What?
the discussion will have to continue, of course, when we've
Yes.
formally concluded, I'm sure.
Yes.
But we won't be able to entertain the indirect questions right now. But
Okay, let me continue.
Yes.
And hence the reason it is critical that you all come together, the group must come together with an end value, that you would have someone, lawyers and so to advise you, to educate you, so that when you go forward with information and so on. Because the domestic violence is clear. Go to the website, download the Domestic Violence Act, see who qualifies for a protection order, see who are the persons should be in the protection order, and then you would be able to perhaps stand up on your own if you so desire. But you need to do that. The whole issue of the Matrimonial Proceedings Act, get that. Access to the child is critical. The police officer, if the magistrate says you have access at 4 p.m., from 4 p.m. on Friday till 10 p.m. on Saturday evening, that is an order from the court. And you have to collect the child at the police station, or you need to go to her home to collect it. If you go and she refuses, the police officer doesn't have the authority to order her to hand over the child to you. They don't. They can only go perhaps as peacemakers, as mediators, letting her know there is an order, and what if you contravene that order, there is a process. So the person now has to go back to the court to apply for a variance, a whole back to the court situation, as my friend said.
30 seconds. Okay.
Yes, but the police officer cannot. Again, it's important when you go to the court, know a little bit about everything, so that you'll be able to come away feeling better, not only for you, but for the children that you're supposed to be looking after.
I'll ask Dexter Mahadio to stand by to move the vote of thanks in a short while, but Rondell Fields, your final observation.
First of all, I realize one of the biggest solutions to the problem is that we have to have faith in fathers. You understand? We have to have faith in men on the whole. We can't just think, well, boy, all men bad or all men going to commit domestic violence. And it's so strange to me because many mothers have sons. You should be afraid that your son might grow up into the position that a man is in here now. So at the end of the day, it makes no sense to fight a man when you might have to raise one. You should be frightened. You're not making sense. To me, it don't make sense. Because boys grow into men. Long and short of the story. So you should be on board the same way. Right. So, another point, when it comes to maintenance. Now we're talking about maintenance and the father needs to maintain the child. All this is well and good. But there must be financial transparency. The court is one place that has no financial transparency. A bottle of water is $5 on the market. It's $10 when it comes to court. It's the most amount of over-invoicing you could ever see. How could you want men to say, well, boy, I freely want to pay this maintenance. Paying maintenance doesn't mean that your child is being taken care of. Here the next issue. As I'm a businessman, as I said, I am not allowed to deposit checks into my personal account. When I sell a car, I deposit the check into my business account. And I pay myself as a manager. Yet I am making payments from my account to my son's mother's account. In other words, to maintain my child, not for her benefit. She's only getting this funds because it is for maintenance of my child. At the end of this is commingling funds the same way. Right. Lo and behold, if at the end of the month, when my money goes to her account, she has a mortgage payment and has no money in that account, and the money I have sent, we're going to pay that mortgage? Yes. Who maintains my child? there must be some financial clarity. So when you see we talking about maintenance, before we talk about maintenance, make sure it is straight, make sure it is transparent, make sure mothers are held accountable. You could set up a separate account for the kids, and it can be monitored by the court, monitored by the father, monitored by the mother. And we can see how many people are asking for maintenance after.
Thank you very much, Ron. Unfortunately, time doesn't allow us here. This is not point blank where you could run this show. There's not even monetization either. But if we could ask, Dexter, you need to get the microphone as well, just to move the final vote of thanks. And I'm sure we'll be able to have in one-on-one discussions that might continue for a little while after we formally close off. But Dexter Mahadev of the Single Fathers Association will move the vote of thanks.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. It was a lively debate. I'd like to thank first Fazir for being a great moderator and being able to control the tempers that were definitely and the soft spots there. I'd like to thank all the panelists, starting from Dr. Moultrie, Dr. Karen Moore, Dr. Bismarck.
And if the stars, God's eyes on the planet, heaven plan them on me, planet in the hammock, daydreaming, thinking about my little man. My little man is gonna be given an advantage. Time I train them out them pampers till I take them to a campus. Let me raise him to be Samson, stronger giving chances. Little man is saying please, saying thank you. Little man is, he's getting older, never over. I can't always be a chauffeur, but leave him something to chauffeur. It helps to play the game when you got someone there to coach you. I hold your shoulder to shoulder, bring us a little closer, cause I want to, not cause I'm supposed to. This true love, yeah, this what I live for. I'm raising you, you raising me up. Can I live more for my little man? My little man. And still my head high with my back against the wall. And I be standing tall till I fall. I give my all, y'all, for my little man. You hear me, big man? May you never feel abandoned and all your tomorrows granted. Pictures of your parents, but you paint your own canvas, little man.